Hello, this is Norell. Thank you for clicking into the website. I'm going to show you, take you for a short tour around the warehouse so you can see if there's anything here that's of interest to you. As you see, this is a warehouse, it's not a showroom, so it's going to be very untidy. The stacks are turned over and carpets are moved about. We have carpets up to 8 meters by 5 meters, rugs and runners. That's me, by the way. Here's an example of a very fine Bokhara carpet. It's actually elephant's foot design. The octagons represent the imprints of the elephant's foot, and in amongst the octagons are stylized scorpions. You can see the stings. This is an example of a Bijar carpet. This particular one is 3 meters by 2 meters. And the prices go from anything from £1,200 to £2,500 in the size 3 meters by 2 meters. Here's an example of a Saruk Mir carpet in the size 3 by 2 that goes from anything from £650 upwards, depending on quality. These are very good because they work very well in dining rooms where just the chairs are on the border. This is an example of a Bakhtiyar carpet. Bakhtiyar carpets are made in the mountain regions of Iran, and you can see the colors are taken from vegetables and the soil, the copper and deep blue. This is also a Bakhtiyar carpet. It's called a garden design because each of the panels represents a different part of the Persian garden, and you can see the canals around the panels which are used to water the garden. Bakhtiyar carpets 3 by 2 meters go from £650 to £1,500 depending on quality. All of these prices of course are plus VAT. Here's a very nice Mashhad carpet. These are very popular. 3 by 2 meters would go again from £650 upwards. See this beautiful medallion, very detailed. Here's an example of a very beautiful Kirman carpet. Kirman carpets tend to have softer wool than others, so they would be ideal for somewhere where there's not a lot of a thoroughfare. Here's a similar design, but in Tabriz. The wool tends to be firmer and more suitable for hardware. Here's an example of a Zele Sultan carpet. A Zele Sultan means the crown of the Sultan, and you can see the vases represent the plumes of the Sultan's crown. Here's an example of a Russian Kazakh design, although this particular carpet is not Russian, it's made in Afghanistan. It's very fine quality, and you can see the beautiful geometric designs. This quality in a 3 by 2 would go from £1,500 plus VAT, and now here's a less fine quality Kazakh but still very beautiful, and these would go from about £1,200 depending on quality. Here's an example of a typical Heriz design. The wool of these Heriz carpets tends to be quite rugged, and you see the beautiful classic geometric design. This is a Heriz Ahar carpet. Usually they come in around 4 by 3 meters. These are very solid carpets, ideal to be put in entrances of hotels, and you see the beautiful medallions. These go from £1,200 upwards. This is an example of a Shiraz carpet. Shiraz and Qashqai are related. Qashqai is a finer version. These are nomadic carpets, and the weavers move around with their cattle wherever the cattle can find food to eat. You see the symbols. There are little birds and animals. Sometimes you find 3-legged dogs, and even men with what appear to be antennae on their heads. You can draw your own conclusion from that. Prices go for these from anything from £450 upwards. Here's an example of a very fine Na'in carpet. Na'in is very close to Isfahan, and you can see around the medallion flowers which are referred to as Shah Abbas flowers, named after King Abbas of the 16th century, who ordained them to be included in all the ceramics and artistry of the time. This is an example of a Tabas Nain. Tabas Nain because it's not really Nain, but in this region of Mashhad they make Nain designs, and the price of a 3x2 in this would be anything from about £650. And here's another one, typically dark blue, and you see the intricacy of the medallion, very beautiful. This is an example of a Mahal carpet, very popular, very beautiful designs. In the size 4x3, they can go from £1,500 to £2,500 depending on quality, again plus VAT. Here is another example of a Mahal, similar to the previous one. Now here's a very interesting example of a carpet called Zir Khaki, which means beneath the earth, and it depicts various archaeological discoveries in recent times. Here's an example of a pot to be found there, and here's another one of the medallion. Now here's an example of a Kashan carpet. This must be the most popular of all designed in Persian carpets, and one may say even one of the royal carpets. And you see again the classic medallion with the Shah Abbas flowers. I'll say more about Shah Abbas in a moment. Here's an ivory example, and a very intricate medallion. The price of these for 4x3 would go anything from £1,500, even £1,200 upwards, depending on quality. And a dark blue example, the classic design, and see the beautiful intricate design of the medallion. Here's a green example. Now this is an example of a Nejafabad. It's similar to Isfahan, but not quite as fine. See the intricacy of the medallion, really beautifully done, and again around the medallion the Shah Abbas flowers. This is an example of a Tabriz Mahi design, very popular because it has no central medallion. It's classic fish symbol designs. This is an example of a very fine Tabriz Mahi design with a medallion. The quality is incredibly fine. This carpet goes for about £5,000 plus VAT. Here's a close-up. Here's an example of the famous Sheikh Safi carpet, actually very similar to the Ardabil carpet in the Victoria and Albert Museum. Now this is an example of Shah Abbas carpet. It's a Tabriz carpet actually, and look at the beautiful design of the Shah Abbas flowers. This particular carpet actually is 5 meters by 3 meters, and the price is only £1,100 plus VAT. The reason being that it's slightly worn, but very, very beautiful. Again, here's an example of a Tabriz carpet. Very typical flowers, and sometimes you get animals, deer and other animals in the design. Look at the beautiful medallion. And another one very similar, understated. Yeah. Now this is an example of another Nejafabad, similar to the one we spoke about earlier, very similar to the Isfahan design. Look at the beautiful medallion, and the colours are very unusual in this particular carpet. Here's an example of the classic Heriz carpet. This particular one is unusual because of the colours, and these Heriz carpets go for anything from £700 to £2,500. In fact, antiques would go for considerably more. Now here's an example of a Heriz design, but this time made in India, and you see the beautiful washed out colours suitable for modern decor. And here's a beautiful, very unusual colouring carpet from India, also very suited to ultra-modern decor. And yet another beautiful carpet from India. Now this is an example of a Jaipur carpet from India again. The background is in wool and the designs are in pure silk and a little bit embossed. Yet again another example. But the silk is practically indistinguishable from real silk. And yet another one. See the intricate medallion, very beautiful. And yet another one. In the size 3 meters by 2 meters, these carpets go for 1,200 to 1,500 pounds plus VAT. Now here's an example of a very beautiful pure silk carpet from Jaipur, India. In the size 3 meters by 2.5 meters, the price would go from about £3,500. Here's another in ivory, £3,200 plus VAT. And yet another. Now here's a similar carpet. It's not as fine as the 100% silk, but the interesting thing about this is that the field of the carpet is wool and the design is in pure silk. It's slightly raised, so it has a beautiful effect when the light shines on it. The price of this carpet in say 3 meters by 2.5 comes to about £2,500. Here's another one of the same quality, a similar design to the 100% silk, with the, by the way, the Shah Abbas flowers, but in the embossed part silk. Here's another one of the same quality. You see the beautiful array of colours suitable for all kinds of decor. Yet another. Of all the carpets that I've shown you here, this to my mind is among the most beautiful. It's an extremely fine Jaipur from India. The design is in pure silk and the field is in wool. Here's a close-up. And yet another. Thank you for looking at this video. I hope it's been of interest to you and possibly helpful. If you think that there's something of interest at the warehouse that you'd like to see, I'll be very happy to welcome you.